You've yelled at your kids and you feel terrible. You know that there are other ways to get them to listen and respond, but in the moment, yelling is what comes out. I'm Marisa from Call to Mothering, and I encourage and equip moms who are raising toddlers to teens. Today, I am sharing a way out of that reactive cycle of stress, yell, guilt, and try again the next day. Number one is know what's considered normal behavior. Remember that your child's brain is not mature yet. The self-regulation system develops throughout childhood so that their ability to control their emotions is still very much under construction when they're young. Often, just realizing that your children's sibling rivalry or their whining or mouthiness and bedtime aversion are normal and age-appropriate behaviors can change your whole perspective on their behavior. It makes their actions less personal. For instance, if your 9-year-old daughter is rolling her eyes and sassing you, that is very frustrating and it can make you very angry. And it's one of those things that you tend to take personally. But when you dig a little deeper, you understand that she is reacting that way because she feels like she doesn't have control in a situation where you've asked her to do something. You told her to do something she felt was something, kind of out of the norm or something she just didn't feel up to the task of doing. And she just feels out of control, so she's reacting in that way. And while you still need to deal with her disrespect and teach her a better response, now you understand that your daughter isn't trying to make your life miserable on purpose. What makes us yell is this idea that our kids should be a certain way, or that there is something wrong with our kids, or even something wrong with us. But if you remove that type of thinking and shift your perspective, then the behavior just becomes something that you have to deal with instead of an attack on you or a negative reflection on you. Number two is be proactive. Think of this as a strike while the iron is cold approach to parenting. If getting out of the house in the morning is challenging and results in a shouting match, be proactive and prep the night before. Have your kids wear their socks in bed or to bed if that's what you nag them about putting on in the mornings. And another way to be proactive might involve always bringing snacks to head off whining in the middle of an activity, or packing small toys and coloring books and crayons to keep the kids busy while you are running errands. And this will also keep them This will also make them less likely to fight with each other. Number three is adjust your expectations. With kids, keeping expectations realistic is key. Part of the reason we yell is because we build up this expectation of what an outing or an event is supposed to be. And when the reality doesn't match our expectations, we tend to get angry and stressed out. Sometimes we feel like a parenting failure because our kids don't cooperate nicely when heat, hunger, or a lack of sleep would make any child resistant to a planned activity. So plan a shorter hike or run fewer errands. Issue one direction at a time. And sometimes it may be necessary to abandon your expectations altogether. And I promise you that there is no shame in just leaving a full cart of groceries in the aisle. By the way, if you are enjoying this content, please subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos and share with another mom that you think would be encouraged. Number four is take a break. Let's face it, sometimes you just don't have the bandwidth to deal with your child's behavior right then and there. So if you are close to blowing a fuse, saying that you need to take a break is perfectly acceptable. You are modeling self-regulation for your child in that moment, which is extremely important for them to start to learn self-control and regulation of their emotions. And it's the equivalent of taking a time out, physically leaving the room and then composing yourself and having a strategy where you calm down, whether that's squeezing a stress ball or yelling into a pillow or asking your spouse to step in and deal with the problem. Number 5 is accept your uncomfortable feelings. Imagine this. It's been a very long day, and you are asking your child to turn off the TV for what seems like the 10th time, and they start to melt down, and they are not reacting very appropriately to your request. And then you start to feel that stress bubble up, and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, I am not being calm right now. And you start to berate yourself without even realizing it. But here's the thing. It's unrealistic for anybody to feel calm all the time. We will always have those moments where we feel like we're starting to lose it. And that's the key. We need to recognize when we are pushed too far, when we are at the end or reaching the end of our limit. So recognizing that is incredibly important in us stopping ourselves from yelling at our kids. So sometimes in order to stop yelling at your kids, you need to stop yelling at yourself. If you are stressed and tired and underappreciated, acknowledge those feelings. Yelling is often about more than just a misbehaving child. It's often an outward sign of something that you're dealing with, something that you may not even really be aware of. Ask yourself, what's going on that I yelled at my kids 3 days in a row now? Did I not get enough sleep? Am I feeling like nobody cares what I do around here? Asking yourself those questions can really give you insight into how you're feeling. And it can make you aware of the stressors and things that are triggering your anger. And then you can deal with those, and you'll be more likely to be calm when your kids do react badly to something that you've requested. You've asked them to do something and they freak out. So you can better deal with those situations once you understand the way that you're feeling and you have dealt with those things. And tell yourself it's okay to feel how you feel. When you accept your own uncomfortable feelings, the need to lash out in stress will dissipate. So the next time your child has a tantrum, pause and acknowledge how that makes you feel. Don't criticize yourself, just breathe, and then tell yourself it's okay to feel stress, and then you can turn to your child who needs you in that moment. And last, see their behavior as an opportunity. We can actually use our children's behaviors as teachable moments. Discipline isn't about punishment or inducing fear. It is ultimately about teaching. It's about providing ways to handle emotions and about figuring out how to get along with others. The original meaning of the word discipline comes from the Latin disciplina, which means teaching and learning. And it's actually related to the word disciple. As parents, we are teachers too. To get your child to change their behaviors, it's all about presenting ways that empowers your child to want to change. So for example, you can say, I am so happy that you feel excited about being here at the park and going on the slide. But I noticed that you pushed past the other children who are waiting for a turn. Even when we are really excited, it's important to wait. Or you can say something like, wow, you must have felt really frustrated when your friend took that toy away from you. What are some ways that we can show our frustration? And then list some ways like saying it out loud or stomping feet. So you give your child some examples of what they could do instead. And then follow that up with, remember, we cannot use our hands to show our frustration. Let's see if we can take turns with the toy. I will set a timer for you. In both cases, you are acknowledging your child's emotions, setting limits on the behavior, and also guiding your child to a better response. Thank you so much for watching these tips for how to stop yelling at your kids. And remember, you are not just a mom.